So we're taking a look at the 2020 draft dashboard right now. This tool is for use in Excel. You need to be on a PC or a Mac in Microsoft Excel, preferably a newer version, as that's going to allow for all of the functionality. You may have trouble using this outside of the newer versions. If anything pops up when you open the tool asking you to enable macros, ActiveX control, anything like that, please hit yes, it is safe to do so. When you first open this up, you're going to click this little link here. That's going to bring you out to this Google sheet. You can click into that red cell, press Control A, Control C, go back to your dashboard. Go right in, paste the updates, press Control V, and your updates are now in. Then you're going to go over to the Settings tab. You can enter the number of teams. For this example, we're going to do 12. Draft type will be snake. You can also do an NFL style draft. Scoring type, we have different types here. That's going to drive the projections that gets pulled into the dashboard. We'll go PPR. There's a variety of different ADP sources. Let's do, how about we use FFPC Best Ball ADP. We'll call ourselves Team 9. You could make these other team nicknames. Something like this could be the Bears, the Jets. You'll see how those get pulled over. And again, there's extensive directions in the user guide, so please read through the user guide for all of the specifics. You can change the roster settings down here. So maybe we're going to say that the bench actually will consist of 5 teams, and maybe you start 3 wide receivers. You can set your team's preferences. You're allocating 100 percentage points across positions. And maybe we want the teams that we're drafting against to employ a balanced approach. Enter in a random number. And we are now good to go over to the dashboard. You can import your own custom metrics. You can enter in your own ADP from different sources. You could enter in your own tiers. And there's neat ways to make that process easy. You can also do trades and keepers. But let's pretend that we are going to be team 9 in this. So we go find, in here we find Dave. Draft's going to start off. We can mock 5 picks. And if I were following along with a real draft, the other thing I could do, let's say Dalvin Cook gets selected. Type in DAL, hit enter. We can now indicate that he got selected. We could also type in JOE, find Joe Mixon that way, draft him. Maybe the next pick is Nick Chubb. We could do CHU, hit enter. Nick Chubb's there. When you see a player's name and you press this draft selected name button, that's going to tell the tool that they've been selected. So we can also undo that. So we're team 9. Let's make this one pick go by. All right, we're now on the clock. What are we able to do here? Well, we can sort our available players listing by tier. And again, we're using the default RotoViz tiers here, or ADP. And then you can use these buttons here to scroll up and down the available players listing. We'll take that back so that we're right on the beginning of the list. You can also change the position that you're looking at. So maybe right now we want to look at wide receivers. Just do that. The neat thing here is that there's a number of things you can toggle. Like I said earlier, you can import your own metrics. You can look at the RV score, which is a 0 to 100 rating that we come up with across a number of folks at RotoViz. You can see here we like Devontae Adams, he's a 90, Tyreek Hill an 89, DeAndre Hopkins an 87. You could also change this to the projection. So given the point, or given the scoring setting that you chose, their projection, I prefer not to use projections when I'm drafting. I think they can be kind of distracting. EP1 and EP2, that's going to give you an estimated probability using some specifics that we have from the ADP source to say, hey, the next time that you're up, what are the odds that Devontae Adams is going to be there? 4%. The time after that, it's pretty much a 0. Now you can see Mike Evans has a later ADP. He's an ADP of 28. So there's a very high likelihood he's going to be there the next time you pick. And even 2 picks from now, it's 16% estimated probability. These are not always going to hold, but given standard deviation among drafts and the information that we have, that is a pretty solid guess. Other things that we're looking at here, this weighted scarcity is giving us an idea of when you're looking at the way that teams have been built and the number of players available in each tier, how scarce a position is perceived to be. So right now you can see that there's only 2 tier 2 running backs, 9 tier 2 wide receivers, 17 starters left, 17 running back starter spots left to be selected, 35 wide receiver starter spots to be filled. That makes running back a little more scarce. Also, our preferences that we set on the settings tab over here are pulling into our weighted preferences here. So it's accounting for the way that we like to structure our team as well. And really what this is doing is it's looking at an intersection of the way teams have been built, the quality of the supply of players, and the demand that there is going to be for those players. So we can also see the way teams are getting built out in this team positions breakdown tab. As we make a selection, they'll fill in here. We can add players to a watch list. This is giving us an idea of the upcoming ADP by position. I should probably also mention that you can include as well a positive negative ADP differential, which is also getting picked up down here. But let's say that we wanted to think about going running back here. And we could come over here. We can see there's Derrick Henry, Kenyon Drake. Maybe we do want to go the 0 running back team, though, and we'll draft Devontae Adams. And again, you can use this to follow along with your real drafts. I know some people might worry about that. I've been doing this now for like 6-7 years using this tool and haven't had any trouble. Especially if you have 2 screens, it's easy to keep up. But this is also a great way to mock draft. So we make our pick. We'll have it select 5 picks now. And make one more pick and we're back up. So a couple of things that we can see here. Tight end has 1 tier 2 tight end left. It's starting to get kind of scarce. Quarterback, you could say, is getting scarce, but with the way that I draft, I'm not going to be too worried about that. I'm now really going to focus on wide receiver. I can see that there's 6 left in tier 2. Some of those tier 2 players definitely will not be around when I'm back up, such as Julio Jones and Chris Godwin. If I were interested in one of those 2 players, I definitely would want to take them now. And as somebody that goes after wide receivers, I'm going to say that I am. So let's say that here we select Julio Jones. Let's draft him. Now let's move this draft along and we'll talk about some of the things I might be looking at. So when I'm on the corners, I really like to see the way that the teams around me are building and what they have. It's a good way for me to know after I make this pick what they might be going for. Now these teams have taken a somewhat balanced approach, so there's only so much that we can read into here. But sometimes there are giveaways as to what that person might be looking to do with their picks. I'm looking now and I see that running back is getting pretty scarce in tier 3. Wide receiver is as well. If I'm trying to go with a very heavy wide receiver configuration, that's tipping me off. I should probably be looking at Juju or DJ Moore. But if we look and see who that one running back is, we could also see that it's Jonathan Taylor. So let's say that we're really going with that wide receiver heavy approach. I'm definitely going to want to select one of these players. Now, there's actually a decent chance that we could skip on Juju here and he would get back around to us with the next pick. Let's get really wild here and take DJ Moore and see if we get lucky. Unfortunately, Juju goes, so we're not going to be able to get him. Now we're back up. And now you can kind of get the sense from looking at this tier breakdown table that there wouldn't be much of a reason to reach on a running back here if that was going away from our drafting approach. We're going to quickly review some more of this. You can see this is our team being put together here. We can jump to the draft grid. Thing that I like to do in here is you can toggle the way this is sorted, and you can look at how teams are building out their different positions, which is kind of neat. Let's go back to the dashboard though. So if I'm making this pick, I am seeing that my preferences are somewhat going toward running back. So let's say I were to follow along with this, because the important thing to keep in mind is a lot of these are set up as guidelines. You don't need to follow everything the tool is telling you to do. I just wanted something that would help me organize the draft and allow me to follow along with it and make better decisions. So I could go against this, and I could go with my wide receiver heavy approach. The reason that this is starting to go towards running back, as you can see, there's only 6 starter slots left at the position, only 8 players in that tier 4, whereas there are ample players to be selected at the wide receiver positions for the starters left. At this point in the draft, I'm probably choosing between a wide receiver that's like Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs, Calvin Ridley, Robert Woods, or a running back. Now keep in mind, I don't have any running backs right now, like a Chris Carson, like a Raheem Mostert, like a Devin Singletary. At this point, I think personally I would be okay foregoing a running back there to take another position. So maybe if we looked at tight end, you can see that if we did want Mark Andrews, who RotoViz has as a tier 3, we would have to take him right now. So let's see what happens if we go ahead. We select Mark Andrews. We can mock 10 picks. Now I'm really just kind of scratching the surface of the analysis you can do here. I think that what I've heard from different people as they've used this now for a number of years is they kind of find there are different things that they key in on. I'm up now, and I'm going to be looking and seeing, okay, wide receiver is getting pretty scarce in tier 3. Running back's pretty scarce in tier 2. Why don't we just go look at flex positions here, and we'll see what we have going on in tier. So you can see the tier 3 wide receivers: Keenan Allen, DJ Chark, Terry McLaurin. The running backs who are available in tier 4 are DeAndre Swift, Mark Ingram. I probably still would go with the wide receiver here. Let's say we take DJ Chark. And then we can mock through 5 picks again. Some things we could look at. We could see that, 5 teams have taken their tight end, 2 teams have taken their quarterback, 31 running backs have been taken, 24 wide receivers. Again, we have 2 wide receivers hanging around in that tier 3. At this point, though, I have a wide receiver in the flex. I have tight ends. I have wide receivers. Do I want to go and grab a running back when I have these 2 tier 3 wide receivers available? Probably not, because we can see that at this point, the demand for running back is starting to decrease. Players are similar or more or less analogous at this point. Now, my preferences here are saying 89% to running back, but that's because we have not selected anything. I did set this up so that even if you are going with a very heavy approach in one direction, it's going to make sure that you don't completely forget about a position, because I have been caught off guard like that before, which is also reflecting these panic picks down here. If for some reason you get caught very off guard, you just look down here, you could say, all right, Marlon Mack, I'll go with it. That's going to be a reasonable selection for your team. So that's what that is all about. Let's ignore that. All right, so then maybe this pick again. Now I would come up here. Maybe I'd go Keenan Allen and draft Keenan Allen. Some other things we should probably mention. This is just listing out the next players at each position likely to be selected based on ADP, showing you the difference between the current pick and the ADP. When a player goes negative, it means that they aren't average selected by then. Based on ADP, in the next 10 picks, we'd see 4 quarterbacks, 3 wide receivers, 3 tight ends. And again, or I shouldn't say again because we haven't talked about this yet, but this is not necessarily saying that in the next 10 picks you're going to have 4 quarterbacks going. It's just saying that based upon ADP, in the next 10 players available at ADP, 4 of them are quarterback. So there's a lot of different ways that you could use this tool, things that you can hone in on. I really like using it in drafts when I'm at the corners. Let's say you want to keep track of guys, you just add them to your watch list, and now you'll see if Tyler Boyd, BOY, were to get drafted, he'll black out once he's gone. So you can kind of look at things that way too. Really cool tool for using in your drafts. Also for doing really quick mock drafts and following along. And again, you can jump to that draft grid. You can look at how teams are being built. Get a lot of really good practice for your drafts. Be very well prepared. Have a lot of information. A lot of useful RotoViz information in there as well. Like I said, definitely read through that user guide. There's a lot of information that should answer any question that you have. If you are a RotoViz user, a member of the site, and you have questions, shoot them to rotovizmain@gmail.com. I'll do my best to help you. This has been the culmination of years and years of work, so I hope that you really enjoy it. I've been using it for years now. It's pretty much just a part of my process every year. I enjoy using it, and I hope that you do too. Thanks.